the hand stuff. When Ron's just sitting there, they're continuing to animate his hand.
Oh, it's a riot. See, I remember the cemetery sequence in the first one. Ron's walking through the cemetery, and there's 12 guys behind him with little radio control things, working his tail and his hand and everything. It's a riot.
Yeah, and it's just, every now and again, I mean, it's very rare when you go to a movie set for magic to actually walk off the set. And that's one of the things that's great about your films is everything's alive, and it only gets better in the post process. How much creation are you going to be doing with The Hobbit from like what we've seen before?
Well, I think technically my desire is to, and I've said this in the past, but is to take the puppetry aspect, obviously push it as far as we can get it, and then push it a little more with digital. I mean, but in a way you haven't seen. Like Wink is one of the most amazing puppets I've ever seen in my life. Spectral motion, that was a design that evolved in a very nice way, which is what you were asking, I think. Mike did a first sketch of Wink, and then that sketch was altered by Francisco Ruiz Velasco, and then Wayne Barlow did a final sketch. And then Mario sculpted the final Wink, which had a little of this, a little of that, but it was his own creature.
It's probably the one creature in there that passed through all hands in our office.
Yeah, and curiously enough, for example, the Golden Army, when it awakens, is one of the, in my opinion, is one of the most Magnola-esque lighting moments. When they first awaken in the dark, and you just see their torso illuminated with, sort of black, with the red light inside and the shafts of light, and ultimately they are a model that again passed by 4 designers.
None of whom were me.
No, truly. We started with my design, which looked like a really angry skeleton Kinder egg, and then with light inside with the red gears, and then Francisco did a pass, and then a Japanese guy at Spectral Motion did a full render pass.
Well, ultimately, because that thing had to move and it had to work, there was no way a designer could come up with a rough concept thing, but somebody had to figure that thing out, and I remember just going,
figuring those guys out. For example, after Francisco did his pass, which was very painstakingly engineered, the guys at the special effects shop, at the VFX shop, they spent 6 months engineering those things, because everything you see move is hard surface. They are really engineered to have the sockets. There's hundreds and hundreds of moving parts in those things. And but another good example, I think, is the Angel of Death. I did a sketch of the 4 wings with the robe, and then Mike did another sketch of the 4 wings and the robe, and then Norman Cabrera sculpted this thing that was beautifully Baroque. And Mike and I went to the shop, and I flattened the face, and I did that sort of flat plaque that everybody assumes is Wayne Barlow, but it was really just sculpted there, and then Mike grabbed it and said, let's break it over here. So it's very, I seriously say it is like summer camp, except very painful.
yeah.
And wearing the wings was very painful, by the way.
And the eyes, the eyes were your great idea going in, and it was one of those things, because of the budget, it was suggested lose the eyes. If you lose the eyes, it's just a spooky skeleton guy. The eyes, which he brings into this, is what makes it magic.
Over there?
Yeah, this is for Doug.
This is gonna get us very sick.
I was just wondering if Doug was planning a trip to Mirkwood anytime soon.
Mirkwood.
Yeah, the Hobbit, you numbskull.
We're in the middle of a press tour. I thought, Mirkwood, is that on the schedule? I'm so sorry.
I'd like to get back.
Mirkwood, Indiana.
Yeah, Mirkwood, I'm filming in Muncie, Indiana next, so it's not quite as exotic. But well, I'll tell you what. That's really a question for Guillermo, isn't it? But we were at the Saturn Awards a couple weeks ago, and someone asked him that in front of me, like, so, Guillermo, what do you have for Doug and the Hobbit? Just kind of on the spot immediately, and
I'll tell him what I do.
he mentioned pain and torture, so that might mean that, I don't know, that might mean he has plans for me. And he also said, listen, I have nothing official to report, but let me say this. If I direct a hemorrhoid commercial, Doug Jones will be in it.
Guess what he'll be playing?
As her favorite hemorrhoid, of course. With elegance and grace, I hope.
Was that what that microphone thing was?
I'm getting started.
Okay.
No, it's, you know, it's too early to tell, but I think he will be. And I won't put the microphone there.
Over there.
Guillermo, can you tell us about the process of casting Seth MacFarlane as Johan
Well, early on, I talked about voices with Lloyd Levin, and we talked about Seth MacFarlane, and I said, I don't think we'll ever get that guy, because he's essentially a multi-million cottage industry, you know, and so, you know, I thought about a guy I worked with in another movie that is German, and I wanted to try him, and we designed the suit. That was the suit that took the longest to figure out, because originally we wanted to stick to Mike's or Guy Davis's design, which is the empty is his design, the empty light bulb kind of design, which is beautiful and simple and
But way too simple for a Del Toro movie.
no, $7 million, like Dr. Evil fucking budget, you know. We came back and we were gonna generate it CG, because there's no way to have a flexible operated head and not do CG removal, and it came back absolutely outrageous. And then I said, well, it's another chance for me to put moving parts in action. And I had toyed with the mouth. The mouth idea I had originally conceived for Master Chief on the Halo movie. I thought we would do something like that. It was much more streamlined, but the insect mouth sort of gave it lip sync, and I thought it was nice. And then the gills moving was just because, as Mike makes fun of me, if anything moves and rotates, I'm happy. I'm a simple man. Something rotates and ejects steam and a gear gyrates, I'm hypnotized. But at any rate, as the process went, we figured out Johan would move in a certain way, and when the time came to cast the voice, we record the session with this other actor, and it lacked energy. And then we said, let's start it over again, and I had two ideas for the voice. One was Seth, and I said, let's try it for the top one right now. And he said yes. And I geeked out, and I think Mike says I was like a schoolgirl, and it's very accurate. I was like, oh, this is funny. I'm a huge fan. Listen, if any comedy has fart jokes, I think it's a masterpiece. I'm a simple brain, and the diarrhea jokes just, I think, are amazing. And the farting contest between Michael Moore and Peter, just, I think it's a pure comedic genius. What am I gonna do? I'm never gonna write for the New Yorker. I know that. You know, and I think he came in. The only guideline I told him is refine. He knew German.